All right, guys, welcome to another episode review of Loki. I'm here with my cousin Wayne again.
How you guys doing out there, man? It's a pleasure to be back with you guys. Thanks again, Rich, for the invite.
No problem. We're doing episodes 3 and 4. Just like we brought you 1 and 2, we're going to bring you 3 and 4. Um, the episode 3 we're going to start off with, it's titled Lamentus. We start off, with a little bit of more context of the previous episode. We pretty much see what's going on with Sylvie. That we know her name now. Because Lady Loki, she doesn't like to be called Loki. She likes to be called Sylvie. We'll get that out the way. So Sylvie, we start off with Sylvie in C20's head. They're um they're at this bar which seems to be on Earth, and she's trying to get information on where the timekeepers are from her. Your thoughts on that, Wayne?
Um, I mean, it was kind of weird to me. Like, she's sitting there talking to her in a bar. I'm like, how's this happening? You know what I mean? Like, before they show you what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's this happening? Like, what's going on here? And then you see Sylvie on the outside of C20, and she's like, enchanting her mind to a memory.
Yep.
You know what I mean? To a memory of somewhere she's been. Because you even see C20 saying, wait, this is real. I've been here. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think it was a good way to start it. Very, it had you invested in the entire episode.
Yep.
You know what I mean? From the beginning, so.
Well, I definitely agree with that. And then we jump out of her mind and we jump to where we're at, where both Lokis run through the portal, and they end up in the TVA. And now we know the female Loki is going to the red door, the gold doors. I said red, the gold doors, because that's where C20 said that the timekeepers are behind. So she gets to the doors, as she fights her way through. Now, the other Loki pulls up and they start fighting, and the judge pulls up with two other guards, and Sylvie tries to pull a knife on Loki's neck and say she'll kill him, but the judge doesn't care. Says go ahead. So Loki pulls out her teleporter and just presses the button to get them out of there before they both get poked, or spiked, right? That's what they called it.
I think it's pruned.
Pruned, yeah.
It's pruned.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you get the sense that our Loki sees a way that this Sylvie can benefit him. The Lady Loki can benefit him. That's why he wants to work with her so bad. If not, he would just get rid of her like everybody else. So that's why he's chasing her down. That's why he's trying to figure out what's going on. He wants to know what she knows. So she's trying to get to the timekeepers, but her and Loki start fighting. Then, as Rich said, the judge came around and basically tried to prune her. But I think Loki took her teleporter.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, Loki took her teleporter and teleported them out of there.
Yeah.
So she was upset because, basically she's been trying to take out the timekeepers for some time, and Loki kind of just, ruined her plan. So, it was good storytelling, man. It's good storytelling. I really enjoyed the show a lot.
All right. Now we're in Lamentus. This what goes on in Lamentus. I'm not, it's really character development between them two, which I really enjoyed. Like, cause in the beginning they're just trying to kill each other. You know what I mean? And then, Loki's trying to like calm her down in a sense, and like let's just talk, and she's not having it. So, what's your thoughts on that? Like, With,
Yeah, he just wants to talk to her, but she has no interest in working with him. You know, she doesn't trust anybody.
mm-hmm.
And she's been on her own since who knows when. You know, and that's how she wants to stay. So I don't fault her for that at all. You know what I mean? So that's
Yes.
what she's used to.
Yeah. All right. So the whole the whole time that they're on Lamentus, they're you know Sylvie finally gets the teleporter back, but she realizes that it's out of juice, so they can't go anywhere regardless. So they pretty much have to band together to find a way to get a power source to recharge it. Um, it really doesn't seem possible because it seems like a task they need to do uh, while working together, and the whole time they're at each other's throats. What's your views on that, Kaz?
See, my thing with that is, by the way, Lamentus is it a moon or is it a planet? It's a planet, right?
I think it's a moon that
Something that has
I
human life on it.
I think it said it's a moon that's another moon's crashing into it.
Yeah, or something like that.
But the moon has life because people live on the moon, but
So
but
this
they
is
kept calling Lamentus a moon, and the moon was one of the
yeah.
moons was crashing
That's
into
what I was
that
kind of
moon.
confused about.
That's what I was confused about too. So
Um,
I guess it's just a planet that has people on it.
yeah, with a moon crashing into it, I guess.
Yeah,
So that's where they Loki teleported him. It was 2077, and the moon was crashing into a planet, and nobody supposedly survives on um this place. So now they try. She finally gets back the teleporter from him. She finds out it doesn't have any battery. That's when she explains this to us, like, oh, you transported us to Lamentus. We nobody survives this. We need a huge power source to charge this. You know what I mean? So they run into this lady, and she's chosen to stay behind and just accept her fate of that she's not gonna make it. And they try talking to her, and eventually, after a pretty funny spot where she had this gun that like blows wind out and hit both of them with it. It was a pretty funny spot. I enjoyed it. She tells them that everybody's at an arc to try to get off of the planet. There's an arc to try to get off of the planet, and so the two Lokis decide that's the power source they're gonna try to kidnap. Um, I think it was pretty. It was pretty funny, man. Like that whole section, the interaction with the lady, that shows some comedy in there. As we expect from Loki.
yeah, yeah. Especially when he tried to when he turned into her husband and was saying nice things, and she was like, yeah, my husband hasn't said anything nice to me in 30 years.
Yeah, so she knew it was Loki acting like him. Yeah,
Exactly. Um, you know, when they actually got to a train to try and get on the try and get to the arc, but they didn't have a ticket. Um, they Loki changed into one of the guards to sneak them on, and then they got on, and this is actually what screwed it. Honestly, this is the main plot point because the only reason that they got kicked off the train was because Loki got drunk. You know what I mean? They could have been on the arc, stole the power source, and been off doing whatever. But, they got to talking on the train. Sylvie fell asleep and Loki got out of hand. So, what's your thoughts on Loki and.
Well, yeah, they get on the boat. Loki uses his powers, right, to transform into a guard. Huh?
You said boat. They got on the
Oh,
train.
I'm sorry, train. I apologize.
Okay.
Loki uses his powers to transform into one of the guards to get him on. Now he gets blocked. He gets stopped because he doesn't have a ticket. Now this is where you see Sylvie use her mind enchantment. You know what I mean? On the guard, And next thing you
Mhm.
know, he's like, "Oh no, everything's fine here. They just called for them to come up." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then they go on. So you get to see both of them how they could be useful to each other in like
Yeah.
a small sense, right there. You know what I mean? Like teamwork, how teamwork can help them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Loki gets him first, past the first person. She gets him past the second. You know.
Yep.
Now on the train, they're bonding or whatever, talking. You know, talking about their lives, whatever. And she says, you know, we're about to do something very important. We should get some rest. You know what I mean? And he tells her, "You relax your way, I'll relax mine." She's sleeping. He's drunk singing Asgardian songs. You know, and then of course they take notice because now he's out of his he's
Uniform.
out of his uniform. You know, he's wearing what he was wearing from the TVA, and they took notice. So it was
Uh,
tough. It was
uh,
tough, and that ultimately started a fight, and Loki got thrown through the window of a train, and Sylvie jumped out with him because of the tempad. So that's how that went.
yeah. All right. Now they decide to walk to the Ark, because they still need the power source, and if not, they said if they can't get the power source, then they're gonna just fly the Ark off. But in history, the Ark doesn't leave the planet, so they had to get there as soon as possible. And you know what? We were talking about this during our second watch through of it. Like, they took their time
Yeah,
to get there. Like, you know what I mean? They stopped a couple times. Like, but they got there pretty fast, but they didn't get there fast enough. At the end of the day, um, the only problem I had with that ending sequence was, um, like it was like in my person it was great. But remember when every the asteroids from the destroying planet started hitting rapidly, and it was like you knew it was over, like this was the last big barrage before the planet goes, right? Now everything's falling down, they start running, and you could tell everybody's in panic and they're running. And after they get exploded and fall backwards, and like everything starts ringing a little bit, they run into that one. I think it kind of looked like a restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
I didn't understand why the guards started fighting them.
Yeah. Like, what's the point?
Well, there was no point. Like,
Yeah.
they were obviously going there for shelter. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, asteroids are falling everywhere.
First of all, you're a guard. Aren't you supposed to be trying to get on that arc? Like, you
You
know
know
what
what
I
I'm
mean?
Yeah, so
They
like,
just told you you're gonna die, and you're just okay with
yeah,
that. Like,
that's the only thing I didn't really understand about that. But like when they started getting closer to the arc and guards started pulling up because there was the gate, you know what I mean? Then they started fighting them. Like, I was like, all right, that makes sense. They're not supposed to let anybody pass the gate, like near the gate.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But when they were off, and I was just like, they just threw that little fight scene in there for no
yeah.
reason. But yeah. What about your thoughts on that?
Like, that was exciting. Like that whole scene where they're trying to run to the thing, um, and like the whole freaking world is like crashing down on
Yeah,
top of them, and they're
yeah,
trying to maneuver,
and
and it's
outrun it.
sad because you see like it shows you, man, like rich people, that right there, that showed you like rich people, like they're always gonna be taken care of first. You know what I mean? Like with everything, man. With COVID, with you know what I mean. With anything that comes up, rich people are gonna be taken care of first. And Loki noticed that. He's like, oh, they're gonna let all these people die. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
this is terrible. But at the same time, you know, he's Loki and he has to save himself first. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So he's worried about him. And, you know, I just think the whole work of having the world come crashing down looked really good right there. I thought it looked really good. You know what I mean? Like the way they did it, the way they filmed it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, definitely. Um, Pretty much that's the end of episode 3. Uh, they they get to the gate, and as they're fighting the guards, an asteroid just comes and hacks the arc down. It's really like it's kind of like a bittersweet thing because uh if you really look at like what they were doing to the other people, it's like, you know what I mean? Whoever, all those rich people on the ark got it worst. You know what I mean? Like at least everybody that was left behind still had their families and stuff. Like whoever was on the ark was, you know, had to suffer that type of death. And that too, I hats off to Disney, even though like we didn't see any blood, but like people were clearly dying. You know what I'm saying? People were getting stabbed. And people were getting crushed by the buildings. I don't know if you noticed the one person that got crushed. Like
Mm-hmm.
hats off to them because you know they are still making this, you know, kid friendly, and they're doing a good job at it, and keep it up. Um, Now we're gonna move on to episode 4, titled Nexus. Um, and this one starts off, you know, because it's pretty much the ending aftermath of the Lamentus One being destroyed, and Sylvie and Loki are talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, Sylvie kind of gets into more of her own life on how, you know, she didn't really know her, no, you know, she didn't know much about her parents, but you know they start to connect more, and when they touch hands, and they they create a Nexus event. So pretty much Loki's in love with himself, you know, and that causes a Nexus event. You have anything to add to that?
Um, I like how like they showed emotion from Sylvie and Loki though. Like you could tell like they started to care about each other in that scene. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they hold hands, they're accepting their fate as if they're getting ready to die. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Um, Another thing with this show, man, is it has a lot of good early minutes in the show. You know what I mean? Like some shows, they're just a long build until the big crescendo at the end. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? This show just gives you excitement at various points of the episode. You know what
Yep.
I mean? It's not like watching a steady line and then waiting for it to bump. You know what I mean? It's constant. You know what I mean? And I enjoy that about the show.
Yeah, me too. All right. And now we actually get a flashback also in the beginning of this episode. We actually see how Sylvie got taken in at first, and the judge was just who was just a regular TVA, you know, enforced
Officer.
officer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was the first one to grab her, and she let her get away. And we see that, and we see how young she was. And I wanted to point out one more thing. When she was brought in, another person was brought in with her at the same time. And if you look closely, he has vampire fangs. And Mobius also said in the previous episode, because I didn't mention it when we were just talking about it because I wanted to mention it here, um, that we've brought in, you know, vampires before, and we actually see them bring in a vampire. Um, so that could hint towards Blade or Morbius. They're both vampires, so he kind of looked like Morbius, but you know, we'll talk about that in a different in a different one. Um, but she gets brought in to the TVA at I look like what 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
that.
if that, yeah, maybe even younger, maybe even 8. Maybe 8, because I think she's been doing this for 2 decades at least. Um, so we find out she's been doing it, like, pretty much been a variant on the run for years. Um, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. She she you see the interaction with her and the judge before she was the judge, like when she was just the officer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she's wondering, she doesn't understand what's going on. She doesn't understand why she's being taken, and the judge is just, she's just being an asshole. You know what I mean? She's just
Yeah.
not telling her anything. You know what I mean? So she's bringing her in, and basically we see her go through the process that we've seen Loki go through,
Mm-hmm.
go through the scanner, do all that stuff. You know what I mean? Go in front of a different. It was a different judge at the time,
Time.
but she was smart. Lady Loki was smart. She bit the judge's arm
Uh-huh.
and took her teleporter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Got the collar
teleported
off
out
her
of there.
neck.
Yep, got the collar off her neck and teleported it out of there. And you can see in the judge's face the anguish, like the anger that she let this variant just get away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like she made it something personal to catch her.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can tell. Also, just by the way she was treating her with not wanting her to be interviewed by
Mobius.
Mobius when they after they captured them, because after it spiked and they went through the portals, they immediately got captured. Separated, and um, Mobius was actually trying to convince her to let her talk. He wanted to talk to C20, um,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to talk to the other Loki, because C20 was talking to Loki. Talk to Loki about this, and caused talk to talk to Sylvie through, and didn't know what was going on. He wanted to know what was going on, because he was like, it's real, and he was trying to put things together, because he's like, am I not the detective here? You know what I mean? Like, am I not the one who solves these cases,
Mm-hmm.
or not? So what do you have to add to that?
Um, yeah. So he's trying his best to try to like get her to break. Like, oh, let me just talk to C20. And he keeps throwing like little jabs at it, like in their conversations, like bringing up C20 and bringing up interviewing Sylvie. And the judge is just so sketchy with it. Like, no, no, no. And she just keeps telling him, and then she tells him, I'm doing it to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, tells him C20 was dead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And she just keeps making up excuses of why he can't interview Sylvie or whatever.
Yep.
And he he knows he's gonna try something. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows that she's keeping stuff from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, good point in the show. Good point in the show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That might have been like to me like the most lackluster part of the episode. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, I liked it, but
Yeah, but it was lackluster. But
we could just tell what was gonna happen there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my thing. We knew what was gonna happen there.
Yeah,
Like,
but
eventually they were gonna.
that was need to know information, though.
Yeah, I
You know what I
understand
mean?
that. I
Like, the
understand
fact, even though he maybe he didn't need to press the subject, but who his character is, and like the type of character he is, like he was gonna press that subject to talk to her to get to the bottom of this. Um, but we needed to know that information.
that. Yeah.
We needed
Yeah.
to know if it was true or not. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We needed to know if it was true or not, and we needed to find out, and we needed somebody that was gonna find out if it was true or not. Um, so while they're trying to get Mobius to interrogate Loki for this next about this Nexus event, because they want more information on that, on how they created it. Um, and he gets shut down about talking to Sylvie. you know Loki sitting in a time loop of him getting Need in the Man Jewels by Sith, which is hilarious. Which is
After
hilarious.
cutting her hair, yeah.
After cutting her hair. Um, so, do you have anything to say about the conversation between Loki and Mobius?
Um, yeah, like Mobius, like Owen Wilson's just a funny actor, man. He does a really good job. Like in this character, he does a really good job.
Yeah.
Um, he just plays like the perfect funny kind of detective, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's when we really find out when Loki tells them all, like tries to convince them, listen, you're all variants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're all just like me, just like Sylvie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Owen Wilson's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But even before the interview, Loki tells him, when they first throw Loki in the time loop,
Yeah.
he's like, TVA is lying to you. And then, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we kind of see Owen Wilson like, it maybe just to me, it looked like he was kind of like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
But then he just throw him in there, like trying to play it cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, yeah, he definitely did go what, because like, you always have to take what Loki's say with a grain of salt, even though they are mischievous and conniving, and they're out there for personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some truth in what they're saying, because you need some truth to get away with a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole point of, like, a good lie, because it has to have a little bit of truth in it. If you just come out with something too outlandish to explain, it'll make the lie too obvious. So he knows deep down. And then you got to think back to the conversations that they were having, you know what I mean, about him riding jet skis, and he should ride jet skis across the timelines. You know what I mean? And you could tell in his mind, like, not in his head, well, like, in his face, that he was thinking in his head, like, jet ski would be nice. Like, he kind of was thinking, like, I kind of feel, why do I like jet skis so much? Like,
Yeah.
I've never even been around water. Like I wasn't raised around water,
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have this job within the TVA, so I can actually see different places. Because,
Yeah.
like, he could have easily ended up like the dude in the beginning that Loki said he was going to gut like a fish, and he didn't even know what a fish was, because he was stuck behind a desk ever since, so that's how I feel about that. And pretty much after that, it's just an interrogation at that point, and Loki lies to him, says that he was the mastermind behind the whole thing, and then he lied. And then Mobius pretty much said that they pruned Sylvie already, so he needs to thank B-15 for doing his dirty work. And he sees how upset Loki gets over that, and he's like, "Oh my God, you fell in love with her." That's what caused the Nexus event. So, finding out that Loki falling in love with himself causes a Nexus event. How did you well, obviously, how did you take that?
Um. Yeah. So all right, he's interviewing him. Whatever. He tries to make it seem like they got rid of.
No, how do you
Sylvie.
how do you take them causing the Nexus event?
Oh, the two of them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only right. It's Loki being Loki. You know what I mean? Think about it, man. Who better to fall in love with than yourself? You know what I mean?
Nah, that's a fact, I guess.
More power to him, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. All right. now we get to the point where, you know, uh, Mobius is sends Loki back into the time loop. All
Mm-hmm.
right, because he's done talking to him. He doesn't believe he doesn't believe him, but he doesn't not believe him. You know what I mean? He definitely doesn't believe he's behind the Nexus event. Well, he knows he's behind the Nexus event, but he knows he didn't do it on purpose. He knows he's not in cahoots with the other Loki with blowing up the timeline. Um, but he knows, but he is curious about whether or not it's true that the TVA has been lying to him. So when he goes to talk to the judge, what's your views about their conversation and stuff? Like how did, like I know you can tell that they had chemistry, and that something was obviously possibly going on between them at
At
some
some point,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he turns around and steals her device that keeps all her records and stuff on it, and he finds out the truth. Yeah, like his reaction after finding out the truth. How did you like? What did you think about that?
Yeah, so he steals her device, opens the device, and sees an interview for C20.
Yeah.
Um, and you know how the judge is saying, "Oh, she couldn't form any words, she couldn't say anything, whatever, whatever." He sees that it's all a lie because he's watching them interview C20, and she's telling him like, "No, I've been there. That was a bar I've been to. Like, this is real. This is real. I'm a variant. We all are."
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the judge say, "I'm ending this on the video."
Yep.
So she was there while this was going on.
Yep.
So now Mobius knows, all right, I've been lied to. You know what I mean? This is already step one of being lied to. So what's the bigger picture here? You know, what's
Yep.
the bigger picture? What's the bigger landscape to this lie? You know, so now he wants to find out.
All right.
From then, he goes and goes back to Loki, and he's asking Loki, "What do you think you deserve to be alone?" And Loki's like, "No," you know, and they try to get up out of there, and he's like, "Yo, I kind of believe you." You know what I mean? He's like, "What am I supposed to do? Trust the word of two Lokis now?" Yeah, but he has no choice but to believe him because he's been lied to by the TVA.
Yeah.
So
And then actually Loki says something that actually hits. You know what I mean? He was like, well, then believe the word of a friend. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're friends now, and that's actually touching because right after they step out of the time loop, the judge is standing right there with four officers. He's like, "Oh yeah, I took yours by accident. I was already here when I found out. And tried to play it off, but you know, he's, and then he was just like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna play it off no more. He was like, that question you asked me when we were having a drink, where in the timeline where I would go. He was like, the timeline I'm from. Maybe I had a jet ski. Maybe I had a good life. And it made her so mad. Spiked them.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could
Per,
tell she
per,
cared. You could tell she cared
oh
about him.
yeah. Because after they escorted the Loki out, she stayed behind, and you could tell she was crying. Loki was choked up too. You could tell
Mm-hmm.
the emotion on both their faces. Like, she had to do what she had to do, and Loki couldn't do anything about it. That's sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. And now at this point, Loki and Sylvie are being escorted to the timekeeper's room because they wanna watch their execution.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with them watching their execution, they get to actually talk to them, and you know the timekeepers are talking all cocky like, you thought you can defeat us. You guys were gonna get captured anyways. Um,
I feel like we missed something, Rich. If I could just go back, before this happens, C-15 goes in to see Sylvie,
Oh yes.
and C-15 remembers because when Sylvie, she grabbed Sylvie, Sylvie enchanted her mind. You know what I mean? So C-15 remembers certain stuff. She's like, "What did she do to me?" So she goes in to see her, and then she opens her own portal and says, "Follow me." And then they go and they talk, and Sylvie shows C-15 who she was before the TVA.
Oh yes,
So
definitely.
now they hatch a little plan. You know what I mean? So now we jump to when the Lokis are being escorted to the timekeepers, and yeah, from there take it, Rich.
Yeah. All right. From there, they're talking, as I said, to the timekeepers. Um, and Sylvie's really getting upset, because she's asking questions, hearing answers she doesn't want to hear. Um, as she tries to step closer to them, the judge uses the collars to rewind her back to where she was standing. She does it a couple times. About the third time, it doesn't work, and you know, B-15 comes straight through the door, uh, unlocks both their collars, throws Sylvie her sword, and then they start fighting. You know, B-15. Honestly, she got put down pretty quick. Which I was a little upset about because she seemed so badass in the first couple episodes for her to get put down by like two of her subordinates, because you know what I mean. But power numbers, I guess. But yeah, I hope we see her again. Hopefully, I didn't see her get spiked, so uh yeah. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a good plan though because the other Loki had no idea. Only Sylvie knew.
Yeah.
So he sees her trying to use her powers. He's like, "What is she doing? She knows we can't use our powers in here." Then he sees her do it again. Now I think he sees the wheels turning in his head. Like, something's going on here?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And like you said, the third time it, the machine doesn't work to hold her in place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now you see Sylvie start to smile, and that's when B-15 comes to the door, takes off the collars.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Now it's all on. You know what I mean? And that was pretty cool. Like to see the plan that her and B-15 had really come to fruition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and they end up defeating the officers. Um, then Sylvie throws her sword and cuts off one of their heads, and they're robots.
The timekeepers.
The
Yeah.
timekeepers are robots. So what a twist! What a
Yeah.
twist!
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, now we have to, now it's like, is there really timekeepers, or is the timekeepers an illusion to, just a facade? That's the big question now. But Loki tries to explain to Sylvie about the Nexus event that they could cause um like like um like Mobius was trying to do before he got spiked, and then he gets spiked in the back by the judge, and Sylvie disarms her, and points it in her face and like, you're gonna tell me everything. You're gonna tell me everything. Um, and then that's the end of the episode. Um, any thoughts on the end of the episode, and then we'll talk about the cliffhanger,
Okay.
the extra scene.
So it was pretty surprising to see Loki get pruned, it was really surprising. Like I didn't think that was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That threw me off.
I didn't
If
think
anything, I thought maybe
would have
Sylvie would have
died.
got it.
Yeah, I thought Sylvie
So
was dying, like not Loki.
So, yeah, he's trying to tell her that he cares about her, you know, but he can't get the words out. He's like, this is brand new for me, you know. And she's like, what are you trying to say? And then, boom, he gets pruned by the judge. The judge and Sylvie fight. Sylvie gets the best of her. And basically, like, Rich summed up. She said, listen, you're going to tell me everything I want to know. And she's either going to do it because either she's going to do it willingly or not. Because if she doesn't just tell her, she's going to use her mind enchantment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see where that goes. You know what I mean? Everything that she tells her, and to find out what exactly Sylvie did to become a variant.
Yeah. All right. And now the extra scene that's like 5 minutes after some credits and stuff. We get Loki popping up in this post-apocalyptic world with old Loki with the one that's wearing the original suit, um, Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and Loki that has the hammer instead of Thor. All these Lokis in this post-apocalyptic world. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's crazy, man. That's crazy because we didn't see this coming, but it opened the door for it with there being the female Loki.
Yep.
So it opened the door for it. We just didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
They snuck that in there, man. That was really, really good right there. That was really good, man.
They did a good job of keeping the fact that, you know what I mean, like, because we just thought these worlds just, disappeared. You know what I mean? Like, and now maybe these worlds turn into these post-apocalyptic worlds for when they do prune these people it's like a prison. You know what I mean? Because the old man Loki did tell our Loki, because he was like, "Am I dead?" He was like, "You will be if you don't come with us."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So obviously you can survive in this world, in these worlds. You just have to know how.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm very interested in to see what they're gonna do. What not only one Loki was crazy. We then episode 2 comes around. We find out there's 2 Lokis. Episode, this is episode 4. Now we know there's what, 5
Multiple.
Lokis, 6 Lokis. Hell, 10 Lokis. I don't care. Bring me the Lokis. I love them. I love them. But this is the end of the episode. Thank you guys, whatever day, night, time you guys are listening to this. I'm Rich, my cousin Wayne. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the listen.
Thank you guys, man. Appreciate you guys for really supporting my cousin, man. Let's get these views up. Let's get these listens up. And thank you very much again, guys. Have a good night.